What's up guys, it's Tom here and welcome to a very interesting video where we will talk about the VAR controversy and the referee controversy that has been happening in the Premier League, because frankly I think yesterday evening in the Everton ManCity game we got yet another proof that the Premier League referees are corrupt and they are helping Manchester City win the Premier League title, because when the Everton ManCity game was in the balance at 1-1, Man City again got awarded a penalty which wasn't a penalty, because it was a Man City player, I think Alvarez, who was shooting, or was it Bernardo Silva, I'm not sure, but there was a Man City player who was shooting miles over the bar. His shot would have been going out of the Goodison Park. His shot would have been going out of the stadium, and Onana, the defensive midfielder of Everton, heroically tries to block the shot, so he throws his body towards the ball to block the shot, and you have to have your arms moving in that instance. Try to throw your body towards the ball to block a shot like this. It's impossible. It's physically impossible to do that. So his arms were in a natural position, but because the ball hit his arm and the ball was coming from like half a yard away, so there was no way he could intentionally move his arms towards the ball. And of course the referee usually don't award penalties for that, because many times Liverpool didn't get penalties for that. We will list all the instances in this video actually, but the biggest example is when Nicholas Jackson blocked our shot on the Chelsea goal line in the first game of the season, in the Chelsea-Liverpool game. But it's one rule for Liverpool and it's another rule for Manchester City, and it was the same guy on VAR duty, David Coote, who didn't award a Stonewall penalty for Liverpool for that Odegaard handball. But what I want to talk about is first that the referee didn't give the penalty at first, but when there were like 8 Man City players screaming in his face, surrounding him. By the way, why is no Man City player getting a yellow card for that? Why is nobody getting punished for that? Because you can't do that. It's illegal this season. You can't scream in the referee's face. You can't rush towards him in numbers and surround him, gang up on him and put so much pressure on the referee. And the referee buckled under the pressure, because the referee, after seeing all the Man City players screaming at him, he awarded the penalty. But what is really significant is that the guy who was on VAR duty, David Coote, he didn't call the referee over to the monitor. Instead, he said into his ear, "It's a penalty, give the penalty." And this is the same guy who didn't give a Stonewall penalty for Liverpool when Odegaard actually moved his hand towards the ball and handballed it in the Liverpool-Arsenal game. And this was the same guy, and he didn't think that was a penalty. He didn't award a penalty then. He didn't say to the referee, "Come over to the monitor, actually take a look." And David Coote is the referee, one of the referees, who went over to the United Arab Emirates just days before the Tottenham-Liverpool game, and he was in charge of VAR, I think, on the Tottenham-Liverpool game. So isn't that suspicious that the Man City owners actually gave him money? The Man City owners, the United Arab Emirates, and gives him money to referee a game in the United Arab Emirates. By the way, not since then and not before that has ever been an English referee over to the United Arab Emirates to actually referee a game. But just 2 or 3 days before the Tottenham-Liverpool game, there are a bunch of English referees refereeing in the United Arab Emirates, working for the same guy who owns Manchester City, getting money from them. And since then, you could see every single time that David Coote was referee or VAR referee, he always makes decisions which benefit Manchester City or which hinder the Man City opponents. And you can't say that Onana had any chance in that instance to move his hand, because he was so close to the ball, and proximity matters in these instances. How can you get a penalty awarded against you when you can't do anything, and you don't even save a goal from going in, because the ball was so far off target, it was probably going into orbit. It was going way out of the stadium. It was miles away, like shooting above the bar. It wasn't on target. So I think the referee should have only been awarded when the shot is on target and the hand is actually saving a goal from going in. But the problem is that the Premier League referees are now so corrupt, and so many of them are paid off by Manchester City. I mean, there are 115 charges against them pending by the Premier League, and yet the Premier League referees still favor Manchester City because they are getting paid off. The referees will always give these penalties for Manchester City because these decisions are all subjective. So the referees pretty much can alter the results of the Premier League. Manchester City got awarded 8 penalties for them in 18 games. So they benefited from 8 penalty decisions made for them, and they could potentially score 8 more goals, which could alter a lot of their results. That's almost 50% of Manchester City games where the referee awarded a penalty in favor of Manchester City. Which other team gets this much help? Liverpool went a full calendar year without getting a penalty awarded in their favor at Anfield. How is that right when Liverpool are on par with Manchester City as one of the most attacking teams in the whole Premier League, and yet Man City have 8 penalties awarded for them in 18 games, and Liverpool in a full calendar year don't get a penalty at Anfield awarded for them? And I think more and more people are getting disillusioned with the refereeing in this country. And I mean, before this season, I said it's just inexperience, it's just the referees are awful. But this season, there are so many coincidences, there are so many instances of refereeing errors, blatantly helping Manchester City, blatantly hindering Liverpool, blatantly like awarding penalties for Man City when it's a 50-50 decision, awarding penalties for Man City when it's a subjective goal. Every time a referee can decide for or against Man City, it's always for Man City, it's always to benefit Manchester City. And also remember, David Coote was on VAR when Virgil van Dijk's season and almost career ended by Jordan Pickford. Remember when Jordan Pickford scissored Van Dijk's knee like this with his legs? David Coote was on VAR and he checked for offside, he didn't check for a red card. Pickford should have been sent off for that instance because he injured Virgil van Dijk so much that one of the most robust and tough Premier League defenders was out for 8 months with an ACL injury. And yet David Coote didn't give anything to Pickford that day as a VAR referee. And also there was a late Liverpool winner ruled out for a dodgy offside with dodgy lines. So there are so many instances of David Coote making decisions that hinder Liverpool, that hurt Liverpool, that punish Liverpool. You can't call it a coincidence anymore, and you have to call it corruption. Sadly, that's the last thing that I want to say really, but more and more evidence is coming forward that there is corruption going on in the Premier League. And I think Liverpool's legal team could and maybe even should submit an official complaint to English investigative institutions highlighting the controversial refereeing in the Premier League, and an independent investigation team should look into this. Because surely if there is corruption in a lot of other walks of life, and especially in the UK government there is corruption, surely there is corruption in the Premier League when there are some of the richest elite teams in the whole world playing in the Premier League. Manchester City and Newcastle are 2 of the richest teams owned by the richest nations in the world, and you will tell me that they will not try to pay off the officials? These guys are used to getting what they want with money, and that's how they have operated all their life. So why would this be an exception? Manchester City always throw money at any problem, and why is it any different in football and in football refereeing. They will just try to pay off the referees by any means necessary. And don't get me wrong, overall Manchester City deserved to win the game because they had a lot more possession, a lot more shots. Everton were very passive in the second half. ManCity just overwhelmed them with their passing. But that doesn't distract from the fact that David Coot again made an absolutely horrendous call as VAR referee. He should have told the referee that the ball was not on target and Onana's hand was so close to the ball he couldn't have reacted. The human reaction is a little bit less than 1 second. So he couldn't physically react in time to move his hand out of the way. How can it be that Odegaard's handball is not a penalty when Odegaard deliberately moves his hand towards the ball to stop the ball from going past him when Salah flicked it past him, and basically Salah with his skill unsettled Odegaard, so he had to move his body and his hand towards the ball, touching the ball, stopping the ball from going past him. And yet David Coot, the same guy who was on VAR duty on the Everton ManCity game, thinks that's a penalty. That's not a penalty, but he thinks that the Onana handball is a penalty in the Everton ManCity game. I mean, make it make sense. If it's not corruption, then I have no idea what it is. And also, the ManCity fans have so much cheek that they actually chanted towards Everton, "You cheating bastards, you know what you are." When they have 115 financial fair play charges and Premier League rule-breaking charges leveled against them. They have an investigation going on for maybe 7 or 8 years against Man City, and Everton breached one rule in the Premier League and they already got a 10-point deduction. And the Man City fans have the cheek to sing to Everton, "You cheating bastards, you know what you are." Absolutely disgraceful behavior by the Manchester City fans. Not all of them, but some of them absolutely have no class, no shame whatsoever. And also finally on the Odegaard handball, I just have one more thing to say. Jurgen Klopp in his post-match interview said probably Dermot Gallagher will come on TV and explain how it's not a handball by Odegaard. But actually Dermot Gallagher called out the VAR mistake. He said VAR said Odegaard slipped and moved his arm towards his body, making his body smaller, so no penalty. I don't think David Coot realizes that by bringing his arm into his body, he actually moved his arm towards the ball. So Liverpool should have had the penalty, even according to Dermot Gallagher. And remember, Dermot Gallagher will defend the referees at all costs. Whatever way he can find to twist the narrative, he will try to find it. And he will try to defend the referee. But in this instance, the referee's mistake was so big, it was indefendable. Even Dermot Gallagher admitted that Liverpool should have had a penalty against Arsenal. And these mistakes all add up. Remember when Rodri had a handball, a clear and very obvious handball in the Everton ManCity game, when it was like 2 or 3 seasons ago when Liverpool won the league, when Man City won the league by 1 point ahead of Liverpool, Rodri handballed it when it was still, I think, 0-0. Everton should have had a penalty. They were screaming for it because Rodri, he handballs it here, not on the shoulder, here. He clearly touches the ball. He moves his arm up and the ball hit his hand here. And not just Man City got away with it and Rodri got away with it, but the referee didn't give it, VAR didn't give it, and in the end, Man City went on to win the game 1-0, and if Everton get a penalty there, they could have drawn or won the game, and those 2 points or those 3 points would have made Liverpool champions. And this is just one instance of many instances where the referees favor Man City or where the referees punish Liverpool. I mean, we already talked about the Jackson handball. Alexis McAllister got a red card against Bournemouth, which wasn't a red card at all. He barely touched the Bournemouth player's leg. Jota got sent off for not touching Udogie in the Tottenham Liverpool game, and Udogie tripped himself up as he was running, and yet Jota got a second yellow and a red card for that. So this is now the third instance where the referees made the wrong decision to hurt Liverpool. Of course, the Luis Diaz goal, which was given offside, he was 61 centimeters onside. That's now 4 instances. Virgil van Dijk got a straight red card against Newcastle. Maybe that could be given. I will give them that. But the Odegaard handball, I think, in the biggest match of the season is absolutely inexcusable. Even Saliba, the Arsenal defender, admitted that it was a clear handball and Liverpool should have had a penalty. Also, Luke Shaw had a handball which stops a Liverpool player from scoring in the Liverpool-Man United game. That wasn't given as a penalty. Gakpo got a goal disallowed against Burnley, and Darwin Núñez didn't foul the Burnley player. He didn't even appeal. The list goes on. There is just so many instances, but yeah, I just wanted to make a video addressing this because I think this needs investigating. This needs getting looked at. How ManCity are getting every Premier League referee's decision recently, and also how David Coote, who was working for the ManCity owners, getting paid to referee in their country, he always gives decisions in favor to ManCity and also gives decisions which hurt Liverpool whenever there is a subjective call to make. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Have a nice day. See you later. Goodbye.